well, I don't want to come off the bench is not a personal issue. Well, I don't like my role.
Dewanna Bonner, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split ya. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya.
The Indiana Fever, a franchise previously known for its quiet consistency rather than its headline-grabbing drama, recently became the epicenter of an unprecedented WNBA storm. It wasn't a record-breaking performance that stunned the league, nor a triumphant championship run. Instead, it was the abrupt, almost inexplicable vanishing act of Dewanna Bonner, a veteran forward brought in specifically to lend her experience to a young, rapidly ascending squad. Her departure, cloaked in the vague and unsatisfying euphemism of personal reasons, left fans and analysts alike reeling, sparking a torrent of speculation and disbelief. But the official narrative, as often happens in high-stakes professional sports, was nothing more than a carefully constructed smokescreen. The true story, far more intricate and disturbingly human, began to unravel, exposing a raw underbelly of ego, insecurity, and the visceral struggle against the blinding, transformative glare of an unforeseen spotlight. The question that hung heavy in the air wasn't merely why did she leave, but what really happened behind the scenes that led to such a stunning, almost unthinkable capitulation from a player once deemed indispensable? The initial whispers quickly escalated into a roar, revealing a narrative far more dramatic, far more damning, and far more reflective of the profound shifts occurring within the entire sport.
Wave veteran Dewanna Bonner, the team announced. Indiana looked at trade possibilities for the six-time All-Star, who had not played since June 10th, for what the team called, quote, personal reasons. Well, the personal reasons were, from what I could tell, playing time is what I knew.
Dewanna Bonner out with the old. Ari McDonald, welcome back in with the new breaking. The Fever are waving. Dewanna Bonner, league sources told the Indy Star, then re-signing Ari McDonald. Bonner requested a trade after feeling she couldn't find a role on the team after getting benched, along with a bevy of other reasons as we covered yesterday. But Indiana could not find a suitable trade option.
The unvarnished truth, stripped of any polite euphemisms, paints a stark and rather unflattering picture. Dewanna Bonner, it became evident, had arrived in Indiana with a preconceived notion, a comfortable glide path into a lucrative retirement, a place to collect easy paychecks, while others, particularly the burgeoning superstar Caitlin Clark, absorbed the intense pressure and bore the brunt of a franchise undergoing a radical transformation. What she shockingly discovered instead was a team, indeed an entire league, irrevocably reshaped by Clark's unprecedented entry. The Indiana Fever, once a relatively quiet entity, had overnight morphed into the most watched, most scrutinized, and arguably the most competitive environment women's basketball had ever witnessed. And Bonner, she was catastrophically unprepared for that stark new reality. From the very first tip-off, the undeniable signs of her struggle were glaring. Her initial 3 starts saw her average a paltry 2.6 points. A shockingly low output for a player of her pedigree, while shooting an abysmal 2 of 12 from the field. This wasn't the poised, guiding veteran leadership everyone had anticipated. It was a clear, undeniable demonstration of veteran regression. Consequently, her minutes on the court, a critical metric for any professional athlete, plummeted, and with that reduction, her statistical production followed suit. Coach Stephanie White, faced with a team visibly lacking energy and efficiency on the floor, made the only logical decision any competent coach would. She benched Bonner. In her place stepped Lexi Hull, a younger, hungrier player who not only hustled relentlessly on every possession, but also consistently knocked down critical three-pointers, demonstrably earning her spot through sheer performance, unwavering dedication, and an infectious desire to win. Bonner's initial personal reasons for her subsequent absence, initially shrouded in mystery, were, in hindsight, nothing more than a flimsy, transparent veil over a profound inability to accept a diminished role and a starkly reduced on-court impact.
Dewanna Bonner signs a free agent contract with the Indiana Fever, and after a handful of games, wants a Fever exit, apparently. And that is a strange situation, right? Because she was embraced, she had her achievement at the beginning of the season, moving up the scoring ranks. They were referring to her as Mama Bear in training camp, and now all of a sudden that has fallen apart. She was out of the starting lineup, hadn't really produced that much, particularly on the offensive end, And this, looks poor on the franchise when it comes to the free agent moves in retrospect, the team that they put together in the offseason. I don't think it reflects well on Dewanna Bonner, whose absence was for quote unquote personal reasons, but now it seems like she was just upset with the team and the situation overall, and it adds more drama to what has been a drama-filled season for Caitlin Clark and the Indians.
Her minutes had significantly dropped from last year. Well, in turn, if her minutes drop, a lot of her production numbers that she can see and the rest of the league can see also dropped with it. Look, she's just like Natasha Howard. She looks old on the court. All right, not trying to be this is not ageism. She looks like an older athlete. All right, she looks slower on the court. And the team has been lacking energy. It's been a serious problem. Seriously, long overdue. Let her go to the place where she feels she would be the best.
How then did a player, revered as a seasoned veteran and expected to be a pillar of stability, respond to such a fundamentally reasonable coaching decision? Like a petulant child denied her favorite toy, or worse, a spoiled celebrity unaccustomed to facing consequences. Instead of embracing the challenge, of committing to extra work, or of demonstrably proving she deserved her starting spot back, Bonner chose an easier, more self-serving path. She effectively took her ball and went home. She completely abandoned her team, disappearing from games for 5 consecutive matchups, all while the threadbare excuse of personal reasons was publicly trotted out. Behind the scenes, however, the whispers grew into an undeniable roar. She was pouting about her reduced role, stewing in a perceived injustice. Her subsequent public request for a trade, masked by the vague and unconvincing statement that the fit did not work out, was nothing less than thinly veiled basketball code for I can't handle not being the absolute center of attention. This wasn't merely a decline in basketball ability. This was a profound, almost stunning character flaw exposed under the brightest lights. Bonner, brought in explicitly to lead and stabilize a young, high-potential team, folded like a cheap suit the very moment she faced genuine adversity, leaving her teammates, her coaches, and her new fan base hanging in their most scrutinized and challenging season yet. It was an act that spoke volumes about her priorities, and they certainly weren't about the team's success.
She couldn't fit with the rotations of the team. She's upset that Lexi Hall took her spot. That's the truth. Little blonde girl from next door took her spot. That's what it was. Well, Lexi Hall is a good basketball player. I think she earned that spot, in my opinion, and she's shooting very well from 3. She's an excellent 3-point shooter this season. She's a sniper this season. And she hustles, she gets rebounds, she gets steals. She puts her heart out every single game.
Bonner, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split ya. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya, right? I'm not telling you gotta go home, but you gotta get up out of here. Dewanna Bonner out with the old. Aaron McDonald, welcome back in with the new breaking. The Fever are waiving Dewanna Bonner, league sources told the Indy Star, then re-signing Ari McDonald. Bonner requested a trade after feeling she couldn't find a role on the team after getting benched, along with a bevy of other reasons as we covered yesterday. But Indiana could not find a suitable trade option. My first reaction.
But beneath the surface of performance issues and role disputes, a far more insidious and deeply personal current flowed. An unmistakable undercurrent of raw resentment, even palpable jealousy, directed squarely at Caitlin Clark. Bonner had signed up to be a veteran presence for a young, promising team. But the moment that team, and indeed the entire WNBA, exploded into an unprecedented level of mainstream attention and pressure, she crumbled. She simply couldn't stomach being on a team that almost overnight had transformed into a global phenomenon, particularly one where the undisputed star was a 22-year-old rookie. Deep down, the accusation amplified by those close to the situation suggests Bonner harbored a desperate, gnawing desire to be the star herself, or at least to retain her long-held perceived status. This was a player who had spent the vast majority of her career in relative obscurity, winning championships in arenas that were often disconcertingly half-empty, drawing little more than die-hard loyalists and family members. Suddenly, with Clark's arrival, she was thrust into the brightest, most unforgiving spotlight women's basketball had ever shown. down. And instead of embracing this monumental opportunity, she recoiled. She resented, perhaps more than anything, that 17,000 screaming, sold-out fans weren't there to celebrate her veteran presence or her past accomplishments. They were there every single night for Caitlin Clark. This isn't just about one player's bruised ego. It's a searing microcosm of a larger, deeply entrenched and toxic mindset within the WNBA. It's part of a so-called old guard who for too long had grown comfortable clinging to their familiar mediocrity and smaller stages, and who now found themselves utterly unprepared, even threatened by the transformative, record-breaking success that Clark had single-handedly ushered in. Their comfort zone had been shattered, and some, like Bonner, reacted with bitterness rather than gratitude.
So the truth is, Dewanna Bonner was butthurt. That's what it comes down to. She was butthurt, her ego was bruised, and she wanted to cry and leave. This is a shame. See, if you're truly a team player, you accept that Lexi Hull's better than you. You accept being a role player and contribute of the way you can. And why do you even care at this point? You're 37 years old. You're making a lot of money for a WNBA player. Why not just ride it out? I don't understand that. You know what it was? She missed her boo thing in Phoenix, and she just want to wiggle her way out so she can go to Phoenix. That's all it was.
Get here. Long story short, DB thought her role was going to be one thing. She came in playing terrible, got benched, and was upset about it. Long story short, Shorty got her record and dipped. That's low-key crazy, y'all. Shorty dipped from the team for personal reasons for 5-6 games and then said she has no intentions on coming back? Because you sucked this year? She really had to be a double agent, dog. There's no way. She a career 29% three-point shooter, but she was shooting 30-footers with us. No bullshit. Like, it's no way. She was missing layups. She was getting blown by, like...
Her chosen destinations in the aftermath of her dramatic exit spoke volumes about her true motivations, painting a clear picture of what she was truly seeking. Bonner reportedly tried to force a move to the Phoenix Mercury, a team where she had spent the first decade of her career, establishing deep personal and professional roots. This wasn't a strategic basketball decision aimed at joining a championship contender. It was a desperate, almost instinctual flight back to her comfort zone, a familiar environment where she could, perhaps, hide from the relentless pressure of genuinely mattering in the current intense WNBA landscapes. There, the media spotlight might be less intense, the expectations for individual performance potentially lower, and the overwhelming focus on Caitlin Clark certainly less pervasive. Even more telling, and arguably more controversial, was her reported interest in the Atlanta Dream, a team that famously includes the outspoken and often contentious Brittany Griner, who has openly expressed disdain for Clark and her perceived impact on the league's existing hierarchy. These weren't random choices, they were calculated alignments. Bonner, it seems, actively chose to surround herself with players who have made it abundantly clear they resent everything Caitlin Clark represents, deliberately positioning herself with the most cynical, aggrieved, and frankly bitter elements of the WNBA, rather than contributing to something positive, transformative, and truly groundbreaking. It was an act that many perceived as a profound betrayal of any supposed veteran leadership, a preference for negativity over progress.
Anybody with any intuition could sort of see that this was getting odd. The amount of time that she had missed with no explanation as to why, no timeline on her return, not making the road trip, all of these things, the lack of information and the basic mystery would be enough to get anybody's spidey sense tingling about this situation. But on top of that, I'll tell you this much. I heard that it was more basketball related than anything else over the weekend.
And there's been so much speculation around her absence, but the whole thing was just kind of bizarre, and a lot of Fever fans were speculating that we're not going to see her back. And just today, it was announced that she has no intentions on returning to the Indiana Fever, and her preferred destinations are either Atlanta or the Phoenix Mercury. It's also been reported that the main reason that she wanted to leave is because things felt off from the beginning, and she thought that she would be a starter. But if you guys remember, DB was starting in the beginning of the season, and she honestly just wasn't playing her best, so Lexi Hull moved into that starting position.
Dewanna Bonner knew damn well she didn't want to come to Indiana. She knew she didn't want to be there. She knew she didn't want to be there. I think the fix was in. The Phoenix Mercury didn't have the bread to pay her. She said, I'm going to get the bag elsewhere. and then I'm going to force my way out to where within the first half of the season before All-Star, Alyssa Thomas, I'm going to be on your team. I think the fix has been in. I think the Phoenix Mercury knew this was going to happen. I think they knew this was going to happen. I think she played bad on purpose. She plummeted her stock to the point where it's not like we could trade her. It's official. It is official, y'all.
Yet, in this very act of abandonment and perceived sabotage, a new, powerfully positive narrative began to emerge for the Indiana Fever. Her contentious departure, a hole torn in the roster, unexpectedly cleared the way for Ari McDonald, a player who, in every conceivable way, embodies everything Dana Bonner isn't. When McDonald got her unexpected shot with the Fever on a hardship contract earlier in the season, she didn't waste a single moment feeling sorry for herself or complaining about her role. Instead, she immediately delivered, averaging an impactful 11 points, 3 assists, and 2 steals in just 3 games. A remarkable output for limited minutes. She instantly became a fan favorite, captivating the audience with her relentless hustle, gritty, tenacious defense, and an infectious, almost palpable energy that radiated across the court. McDonald played like someone who was profoundly grateful for the opportunity, not entitled to it. Her story, a testament to resilience and unwavering dedication, stands in stark, almost poetic contrast to Bonner's pathetic and self-serving exit. Here was a player who had been cut during training camp by the LA Sparks, left adrift without a team, yet she embraced the chance, however fleeting, to be part of what the Fever were desperately building. She instinctively understood what it meant to play for the Fever in the burgeoning Caitlin Clark era, seeing Clark's unprecedented success not as a threat to her own standing, but as an incredible once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be part of something truly special, something vastly bigger than any individual ego. Her presence immediately uplifted the team's morale and on-court performance, proving that genuine commitment could fill a void that talent alone couldn't.
Ari McDonald back, that's good business. Glad she's back. I knew she was waiting after all those hardship contracts were being signed by different players on different teams. I was like, man, look, Ari not on a team yet, she's coming back. But anyway, it was pretty evident that Bonner did not want to be a part of this team. The fans seemed to take her in, but that wasn't enough. The fact Bonner had 0 trade value is telling too. Ari McDonald was so impressive in her first stint in Indiana. She'll be a great fit. Now, I do feel like maybe they couldn't find a way to trade Bonner. Like I stated, the 2 teams she wanted to go to, I didn't see any use for her being there, man. Like, I'm not being disrespectful. There was just no use for her there. And she still wasn't going to start. So, I don't know, man.
So, Dewanna Bonner pulls one of the weakest moves in sports history and quits on the Indiana Fever, not even halfway through the season, man. Your ass couldn't hit the fucking side of a barn and was stinking it up every game, and you're mad about a starting spot or some bullshit? Completely lost all respect for your punk ass, man. And now your preferred destination is the Phoenix Mercury and the Dream. Oh, what? So you can go back with Alyssa Thomas and Scissor? What the fuck kind of bullshit is this? And then all the people that hate Caitlin Clark so much, the Black Clan and Black Clan Panders, are sitting here supporting this weak ass move. Y'all call yourselves real so much and all this bullshit, and you're defending a player quitting.
Dana Bonner's contentious departure sends an undeniable, perhaps even harsh message to the entire league, but it's a message that ultimately strengthens, not weakens, the Indiana Fever. It's a clear and unmistakable signal that this franchise has no room for players who cannot handle the intense pressure, who prioritize their deeply personal feelings and bruised egos over genuine team success, or who, most disappointingly, resent the transformative power of genuine historic stardom. The WNBA for decades struggled valiantly for mainstream relevance, fought tirelessly for consistent television coverage, and begged passionately for genuine fan engagement. Then, almost like a meteor streaking across the sky, a single player arrived who, almost almost single-handedly solved many of those systemic problems, smashing attendance and viewership records with astonishing regularity. And instead of wholeheartedly celebrating this seismic shift, instead of embracing the unprecedented growth in attention, certain players, tragically like Bonner, chose to actively tear it down. It's professional jealousy at its most pathetic, most self-defeating. Bonner had every conceivable opportunity to be an integral part of something truly historic, to be the steady, guiding veteran who helped usher a young superstar to a championship. Instead, she chose resentment, insecurity, and ultimately, an undignified, self-inflicted exile. The Fever's swift, decisive move to replace her with someone like Ari McDonald sends an even clearer, more potent message. If you cannot handle the intensity that comes with true greatness, if you are not willing to fight relentlessly for your spot, if you prioritize your ego and fleeting emotions over the collective success of the team, then there are countless other hungry, dedicated players who will eagerly appreciate and seize the opportunity you squandered. This isn't merely a roster change, it's a pivotal turning point, a powerful testament to the evolving, more competitive, and undeniably more exciting culture forging itself in the crucible of the new WNBA.